Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the James and Heather Gills Day at the Wilmer Eye Institute. I'm Peter McDonald, Director of the Wilmer Institute, and it's my pleasure to welcome you for this great occasion where we celebrate something wonderful being done by a Wilmer alum, Dr. James P. Gills Jr. and his wife, Heather, and that's creating the James P. Gills Jr. MD and Heather Gills Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center at the Wilmer Institute. I'm delighted that you're all able to be here, and I'm particularly excited to welcome our president, President Ron Daniels. Last night, Ted DeWeese, our dean, was to speak to us today. I don't know if you've heard about this COVID thing going around, but Ted this morning tested positive, and although the germ theory of disease is just a theory, I believe there's enough credibility behind it that we're erring on the side of caution. And we have someone that everybody at Wilmer knows really well because he comes over very frequently to support Wilmer, and that's our Executive Vice Dean, Dr. Landon King. We're grateful to have Lou Friedland with us. He's Jim and Heather's friend and business advisor, and has played a super important role in making today possible. And I understand he's had firsthand experience with Wilmer, and we're appreciative of Lou's efforts on our behalf. And I have declared through the power vested in me by me that today, September 5th, 2024, is officially James and Heather Gills Day at the Wilmer Institute. So throughout all of our clinics and our operating rooms today, everyone will be taking some time during lunch to show their appreciation to the Gills and enjoy a nice catered meal. Wilmer is Wilmer because of the tremendous support we receive from people like Jim Gills. It's the reason why we have this building, where Jim and Heather made a very large lead gift to make this possible. And so on behalf of everyone at Wilmer, I'm delighted to offer my thanks for all that Jim and Heather have done for Wilmer over my 20-year term back here at Wilmer. And especially this event today, making sure that Wilmer will be at the forefront of the use of this exciting new technology to better the lives of our patients and do better science. So it's my pleasure now to invite President Ron Daniels to the podium to share a bit about how Johns Hopkins is a leader in this area of artificial intelligence and his important support for the Wilmer Institute. President Daniels.
Thank you, Peter, and good morning, everyone. I am, of course, delighted to join you, Peter, and Jim, and Lou, and Jim, I see your grandson, Braddock Grundy, is with you. It's great to have you at Johns Hopkins and see friends and colleagues from across the Wilmer Institute to dedicate the Gills AI Innovation Center. So let me start. A Canadian ophthalmology resident, a neurosurgeon, and a neurologist walk into an operating room. I know you've heard this, or perhaps you haven't, and it may sound like the start of one of those jokes that Jim Gills loves so, but I assure you it is not. Because it is the start of a critical chapter in the Wilmer story that led us, I think, quite inexorably to this moment. In the early 1930s, a young doctor from Saskatchewan, it always starts back in Canada, as you know, Frank Walsh joined a surgical team called upon to tackle the gravest neurological afflictions. In procedure after procedure after procedure, he would make a startling observation. The neurology patients the team was seeing were often plagued with eye problems. A consummate clinician scientist, Frank refused to let that observation go. And in the ensuing years, he made nearly daily pilgrimages to Baltimore City Hospital, studying case after case, mapping his findings to the huge handmade model of the brain that took pride of place in his office. And several years later, he compiled that knowledge into a textbook and brought it to it as a department chair, brought it to his department chair in Wilmer. The chair took one look at it and declared, "Frank, half that stuff isn't even ophthalmology." And of course, for Frank and his collaborators at Wilmer and across Johns Hopkins, this wasn't a rebuke, it was in fact validation. Frank had long recognized the power of interdisciplinary perspectives to advance discovery and improve eye care. Indeed, he did just that, drawing on ophthalmology, neurology, and neurosurgery to prove, as he would later like to say, that the eye is the window into the body. Such a spirit of innovation and collaboration has been at the heart of Wilmer Institute's nearly 100 years of bringing interdisciplinary expertise to expand the impact of ophthalmology, not only in this one field, but to advance medicine and improve human health in its entire. It was here, of course, that Arnold Patz forged a partnership with our applied physics lab to develop an argon laser that could treat age-related macular degeneration. It was here that Al Somers combined the insights of ophthalmology and public health to develop vitamin A capsules, one of the most powerful tools to have dramatically decreased child blindness across the globe. And it is here, with the launch of our new Gills Center, that Wilmer once again is poised to chart the next great frontier in ophthalmologic medicine. Building on Wilmer's foundation of interdisciplinary collaboration, the center will harness the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies to inspire new discoveries and potentially life-saving precision medicine treatments, from spotting early signs of macular degeneration to preventing retinal disease to one day preventing blindness. And I'm thrilled that the center will draw strength from and indeed animate Johns Hopkins Data Science and Artificial Intelligence Institute, our university-wide commitment to building a world-class hub for data science and AI that will galvanize our shared strengths across our entire university. And as you know, that institute is going to be built upon 110 new faculty who are being recruited to the university for that purpose. Of course, I couldn't imagine a more fitting partner to chair this next frontier than Jim Gills, who, in the great tradition of Frank Walsh, began his extraordinary career as a Wilmer resident, as it embodied the Institute's ethos of entrepreneurial innovation, relentless excellence, and abiding humanity. Since his days at Wilmer, Jim has blazed a trail of his own in ophthalmology. He pioneered the use of no-stitch procedures that transformed cataract surgery from an inpatient to an outpatient care and returned the possibility of restored eyesight to thousands of patients across the world. Never content to limit his reach merely to his own patients, Jim also sought to bring critical eye care to all those who need it, founding clinics in developing countries to train doctors who returned to their home villages to provide eye care. And he's always seen the potential in innovative technology, whether he was retooling lawnmowers for his mail-order business as a 13-year-old, several years later, investing in NVIDIA, now the world's leader in AI technology. And sir, among the things that we would ask of you, is given your track record, is we would like to turn the entire Johns Hopkins endowment over to you for continued effective management, financial management. So, with that, Jim, we truly could not be more grateful to you and Heather for your vision and support for Wilmer and this critical new center. It hits the sweet spot of Wilmer, the sweet spot of our School of Medicine, and the sweet spot of our university at a perfect time. And to borrow the words of Frank Walsh, if the eye is the window to the body, with the center, we'll have an opportunity, indeed a responsibility, to open that window ever wider and to use all the tools at our disposal to see more clearly the myriad ways in which we can advance and improve human health. So once again, thank you, Jim and Heather. And it's now my pleasure and privilege to introduce Landon King. You've heard that Ted DeWeese, the Dean CEO of Johns Hopkins Medicine, should have been here, and it's ostensibly related to his having tested positive on a COVID test this morning. I think there are a number of us who believe that Ted threw the opening pitch last night at the Orioles game, and we think actually he's, given the record velocity that he clocked last night, that he's in a state of physical exhaustion, and this will require a few days of restorative repair. So with that, thanks, Landon, for stepping in.
Thanks, Ron. And I didn't think Ted wanted that last part shared, but there you go. So good morning. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood out there. And yet again, this is another beautiful day in the neighborhood in here. And it's a great privilege to be back with you to celebrate. On behalf of Dean Ted DeWeese and the School of Medicine, Ron, I want to thank you for your incredible leadership of our university as we work together to advance data science and artificial intelligence. It's an honor for all of us to work with you and with our colleagues across the university in building the nation's foremost destination for data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. I'm truly delighted to be here with all of you today to celebrate the establishment of the James P. Gills Jr. MD and Heather Gills Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center at the Wilmer Eye Institute. We would not be here today were it not for the extraordinary generosity of the Gills family and their bold vision for the future of ophthalmology. Over the past many years, dating all the way back to 1984, Dr. James Gills and his wife of 60 years, Heather, have generously supported the Wilmer Eye Institute, especially the talented young physician scientists, faculty members, young researchers, and trainees who together make the Wilmer the preeminent institution that it is and that we all know it to be. Dr. Gills himself, as Ron noted, was a Wilmer resident from 1962 to 1965 under the direction of Dr. A. Edward Mominy. Wilmer's residents are and have always been the very best of the best, trailblazers in the field of ophthalmology and difference makers in the lives of patients here and across the globe. Dr. Gills, your dedication to improving the human condition through medicine is admirable and serves as an inspiration for all of us, and we thank you for that. When I walk through Wilmer's Hall of Fame over on the first floor of Mominy, I see the photographs of all the past Wilmer residents who have truly changed the course of medical treatment and surgical technique for the benefit of patients with eye diseases. And Jim, that certainly includes you. Your legendary contributions to the field of ophthalmology are case in point of why Wilmer's residency program has a long-standing and well-deserved reputation for incubating world-renowned leaders in the field. As a fellow alum of a Hopkins residency, I share that sense of connection to the institution, thanks to the extraordinary experience of specialty training at Johns Hopkins. We are so grateful that you both have chosen to honor those years by investing in the Wilmer Eye Institute over the last 4 decades. To Jim and to Heather, who's watching us from Tampa, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of Dean DeWeese and all of us at Johns Hopkins Medicine, we say thank you. We could not do what we do without you. Your loyalty, dedication, and philanthropic investment in the Wilmer Eye Institute, a place that we all love, makes us better every single day. We are honored to carry forward your legacy, defined by a tireless commitment to innovation, calculated risk-taking, generosity, and benevolence. And we're all hoping that you do good things with the Johns Hopkins Endowment. The James P. Gills Jr. MD and Heather Gills Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center fortifies the Wilmer's reputation as world-renowned leaders in ophthalmology. And as we now enter a new golden age for medicine and biomedical research that is and will be increasingly powered by exciting new advances in AI and data science, Johns Hopkins is working at the leading edge to harness the power and promise of this golden age to help us understand the mechanisms of biology and disease at a depth and at a speed that are truly unprecedented, in fact, even unimaginable, not so long ago, and to apply those insights through precision medicine to patient-centered care. The Gills Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center is central to this vision. Through this investment and others across Johns Hopkins University and medicine, we will be able to use data and AI to rapidly transform clinical care, enhance the pace of research to make life-saving and life-altering discoveries, and pioneer new ways to educate and train physicians and scientists of the future. The Gills Center will help us harness this energy to promote opportunity, creativity, and success for the young, promising investigators at Wilmer to collaborate across disciplines. The growing data science and AI community at Johns Hopkins exemplifies this spirit of collaboration and commitment to excellence that is Johns Hopkins. As some have said recently, the last shining light on the hill in academic medicine. The work we embark on now and over the next decade or decades in data science and AI will drive advancements that are set to transform society. I have no doubt that we will make great strides because of the support provided through the James P. Gills Jr. MD and Heather Gills Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center. Thank you, Dr. and Mrs. Gills, for your belief in us as we launch into this new golden age of science and medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Landon. So today, as you've heard, is James and Heather Gills Day at the Wilmer Institute. They arrived here in 1962, and I looked for photos. I'm not sure how big the banner was to acknowledge your arrival here by Dr. Momini, but hopefully the banner today is larger. Heather, who's joining us through the magic of technology, texted me a little message about what it was like to come to Wilmer in 1962. And it begins, quote, "Everything was new. We were newlyweds of 1 week. New residency and new job for me, high school biology teacher. Not daunted one bit. We had a 3-year honeymoon," which I think is pretty impressive. How many men give their wives 3 years honeymoon? And loved Wilmer with new friends and best worldwide eye hospital. So you catch that? Best worldwide eye hospital. Thank you, Heather. After my own training, I came to know Dr. Gills because, he was a celebrity and he was the leader in this area of cataract surgery. And I was, to say that I was a nobody would be an exaggeration of the status that I held after my training. But I was able to, I could call and say, I'm going to be at this meeting. Would you have a few minutes to talk with me? And the answer would always be yes. And he loved teaching. He did more surgeries than any other American eye surgeon, and possibly more cataract surgeries than any other person in the history of the world. And occasionally, I know this is hard to believe, I would have a Wilmer faculty member brag to me about how many surgeries he had done. And when he would do that, I would say, really, how many surgeries did your friend Jim Gills do today? And then all of a sudden, it would not, the bragging would go away. 100 cataract operations in a day. I initially thought that was literally impossible, but that's what Jim did. He built a practice that before there was Six Sigma and Kaizen improvement, he embodied this. And I've met ophthalmologists from other continents, and I said, and they were the acknowledged surgical leader, and I say, how did you get started? And they said, there was this doctor in Tampa, and I called and said, can I come and visit and see how your clinic runs? Heather told me that one day she meets somebody at a meeting, and he introduces himself again, and she says, oh, nice to meet you. And he said, well, don't you remember? He said, I stayed at your home to learn how your husband ran the clinic. And she said, I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but she said every day there was somebody from some South American or Asian or European country staying at our home to see how the clinic ran. Jim started one of the things that we ophthalmic surgeons most are afraid of is endophthalmitis, that an infection could occur after surgery and blind our patients. Jim, before anyone else was doing this, learned that, was able to show that intracameral antibiotics used in the irrigation fluid during surgery decreased the risk of endophthalmitis by another tenfold efficacy. And today, that's standard care. When he started doing it, no one did it, but many people questioned his wisdom in doing that. So as I said, Jim was very generous with his time. And a memory that I will never forget is at an academy meeting, he is going to give me some time. We're going to talk about, I think it was about this issue of endophthalmitis. And he said I could meet with him and talk with him in the facilities, gym, essentially, of the hotel, the athletic fitness facility. And I go there, and he's on an exercycle. He's taken off his suit jacket, but he has his suit on. He's in between giving talks. He's in this thing doing miles on the exercycle because he's this athletic monster who was a triathlete, would compete in 50-mile-long races, became the owner of the Ironman competition, and it was just doing things that I thought were a physical impossibility for the human body. In addition to his excellence as an athlete, Jim, as you heard President Daniels mention, is a gifted businessman. He acquired this small competition in Hawaii and made it got on television and became licensed. All this thing became the Ironman competition. And then with the partnership of Lou Friedland, his business partner, they purchased a lot of land in Florida and have built thousands of homes. And one time, years ago, way before the pandemic, he calls me and is telling me about this company that he's invested in, which I had never heard of. No one I knew had ever heard of it. So I researched it. They made something called GPUs, graphical processing units, for video games. And I thought, why would anybody invest in something that made video games? But Jim saw way back then, before it was in the news and everything, the potential of artificial intelligence and that in just every area, he's, I think, way ahead of certainly of individuals like me. Now, when I was a first-year resident is when I first heard the name Jim Gills, because Dr. Patz was hoping to establish a professorship in honor of Frank Walsh, and Jim wrote the check, and so that's one of those plaques over there honoring Frank Walsh, the founder of the field of neuro-ophthalmology, and that was in 1984. And then in 1999, Jim established the James P. Gills Professorship of Ophthalmology here, and Neil Bressler became the original recipient of that professorship. And today, I'm going to guess that there's no more famous retina specialist in the world than Neil Bressler. And then when I returned to Wilmer in 2003, Jim agreed to join the Wilmer board. I think he realized if Peter McDonald was going to be the director, Wilmer was going to need a lot of help. And fortunately, Jim was prepared to give that help. A few years later, he gave a tremendous lead gift that named one of the floors in this building and basically allowed the dean's office to give us the go-ahead to construct this building, which has transformed the Wilmer Institute. In 2023, Jim and Heather established the James and Heather Gills Rising Professorship of Ophthalmology, and the inaugural recipient of that is Michael Saluski. Just as Jim trained cataract surgeons from around the world, Michael makes sure that our residents here at Wilmer get the best possible surgical training. And so they'll be the future Jim Gillses of the world. And every year, he gets the teaching award from our residents. This year, with an enormous lead gift, Jim and Heather established the James P. Gills Jr. MD and Heather Gills Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center, including the naming of a Gills Rising Professor of Artificial Intelligence at Wilmer. And this gift will help ensure that Wilmer is at the forefront of the use of artificial intelligence. I've heard it said that Wilmer is now so big and so complex that no one except Peter McDonald can possibly know all the things that are going on. Well, let me add one name to the list of people who don't know all the things that are going on at Wilmer. Because as we thought about this center, I sent out an email to Wilmer faculty asking, if you're doing any work on artificial intelligence and have published any papers, would you send me the paper? 100 papers I received, ranging from early diagnosis, screening, to predicting in individual patients what's going to happen, to designing molecules for more effective drugs, to training surgeons on how to be better surgeons. All different people, all working using artificial intelligence and machine learning in one way or other to advance the work that they were wanting to do. That was 100 publications in our best journals, even before we had this center. And this center is really going to rev up what we're doing. Now, in addition to ophthalmology and medical science, I want to make sure that we all acknowledge that Jim and Heather are very spiritual people, and they take very seriously their responsibility to help others and help mankind. They built churches in very poor areas in the developing world, including in 2017, they sent me this letter. They've named a church in the West African country of Mali in my honor. And this area of the world has been designated by the United Nations in terms of income and literacy as one of the poorest places on our planet. And Jim and Heather gone out of their way to help. I think they've done dozens of these churches around the world. And this one in Mali, they made their gift in honor of Peter McDonald, which is very humbling for me, Jim. Jim founded and financially supports a ministry for men who are incarcerated in the prison system in the state of Florida. And they're provided counseling and Bibles in the hopes that they can be given some tools with which they can turn their lives around and lead happier, better lives. Jim has written books, dozens of books, on the intersection of faith and science and the intersections of faith and medicine. This is one of these books. It deals with the topic of epigenetics. And I think it's fair to say that Jim and Heather, the things that they've done, the things they've supported in Florida, around the world, but also at Wilmer, are leaving the world will leave the world a better place than what they found. So at this time, on behalf of everyone at Wilmer, I'd like to thank Heather and Jim and Lou for all their support for us at Wilmer, and their ideas and talents and kindness and humility and support for us. So Lou and Dr. Gills, if you will, please join me at the podium and accept this commemorative crystal marking this latest transformational establishment of the James P. Gills Jr. and Heather Gills Artificial Intelligence Center here at Wilmer. You might turn and we'll smile, take a photo, and then. Yeah.
Came up today on a very nice flight. Lou and I were there, and I would tell you really the reason I'm here is really cemented by the surgical results of Lou. Lou had diabetes, found out when he was, before he was 10, and he was on the swim team down in Miami, went on to Gainesville. But he took care of himself reasonably well, and he started losing his vision. And by the time he lost his vision, part of it in both eyes, and I think you may have seen him. And came up here, and he had one eye down here, and the other said, "People, let's don't do the other yet," and that's what the local feeling was. The eye that was done here by a gentleman that's not here anymore is 20/20 in the right eye.
35 years. 35 years ago.
We've seen each other not every day, but at least twice a week, and he is just an unbelievable person to deal with. I mean, everything is real, and in the imagination. So he is he does a wonderful job. And we had a company used to be called Gyra, now it's called many other things. But we have a rock mine. We built a lot of things, shopping centers, and we saw a little area north of town, and we said, "I bet that place will take at least 6 shopping centers." And the guys that built shopping said, "No!" There's 6 shopping centers there and all the other things around. So we've had a good time together, and we've done a lot of things together. Lou is one of the most respected people in the entire area, and he is great for getting things approved, and we'll be doing many things for the welfare of construction in our area. And it's a little different than doing cataracts, but it's awful good type of work to do because it gives you a better community. And that's what's really important, making things better for the people that are there. And Mike knows that. And it's really an interesting group of people that come to Wilmer. I got my grandson to come here. He's a arm wrestling champion. And he is one of the nicest persons. And he has so much response every place we go. He has people that have written about him. And he takes it quietly. And the ones that'll jump and act like a fool in the arm wrestling thing, he takes it quietly, and he usually takes them down, but he does it with a quiet, humble attitude. And he's a wonderful man. His parents come from radiology heritage that I used to see with at Duke with his father, his grandfather, and his father and my daughter are married. So I enjoy these 4 of them. And then I've got 3 others that Pitt has. But I want to really say I wanted him to come up and be with us because Lou and I work, and nobody understands. We get in a truck and go off to the mine or go someplace during the day, and it's an interesting life, isn't it, Lou? It is. And we have been able to do about as much as anybody in our area. And so it's been a great time to do it and give some of the fruit to the Wilmer Eye Institute, which I am so proud of because of the integrity and the quality of people. We tried to give it to one of the local places. They weren't ready for AI. They didn't understand what we were really talking about. But it means a great deal. And Braddock has used AI. When he goes to mission fields, he'll do you do a vocal with AI.
Well, I was helping some of the EMTs in Guatemala do this chat GPT stuff.
Yeah, and he tells them the diagnosis. Yeah, and the biggest problem with being in the mission fields, they may misunderstand. Now, I promise you, I've been in China and Japan with many people, and they have to understand with me understanding because they're so good and they're so far ahead. But I want to thank y'all for coming, and Lou for many years. And Lou has got one grandchild he's proud of. She got a degree. She has a scholarship in the theory of, or he does, a theory of music. And that's probably the best scholarship that was obtained in the area of Florida. So let me, I think, number one, I think it's going to make it, as we accept, all of us accept AI, it's going to make the transition simpler and life and medicine better. There was an article in a paper that's named for the guy who used to be president here. I guess he's still here, president, maybe he is. But anyway, there's a newspaper, business paper, described the hesitation some people have and some of the false things they've said about some of the people. But those things aren't true. What has happened is going to be, they're going to get over a transition this month, and it will have a transition into a busier time because of AI. And that's what we're all looking forward to. And it certainly required a lot of misunderstanding by some people who don't want it. And if you had, everybody here has had somebody that hasn't wanted the things that are best for the community. But I think that we will come because of the Wilmer and many people that will be there that will be very gracious in the way that's brought in and not anything that will put other people down. Thank you. Braddock, would you like to say something?
Thanks, everyone.
That's what, when he gets through beating a guy that's maybe a lot older than he is in arm wrestling, he's so polite.
I want to tie one thing together.
Okay.
Just to kind of tie Wilmer and Hopkins and Dr. Gills and myself. About 40 years ago, I was looking for a job, and Dr. Gills was doing a lot of development in the area, and that was my expertise, and he hired me. Because of things that happened to kids, when I was 10 years old, I became a type 1 diabetic, and if you told anybody that, they treated you differently. So from the time I was 10 years old until the time, I just never told anybody about it. I found ways of doing whatever I had to do because that's what you had to do. So I swam in high school. My coaches didn't know. I'm eating jelly beans to keep my sugar up. I'm doing all the things I have to do. That's what you did. And then I come to work for him. I don't tell him I'm a diabetic. 35 years old, and all of a sudden, my eye starts bleeding, and all of a sudden it's going away, and I say, well, I better tell Jim. He's going to figure this out. And he says, I'm going to call Ron Michaels up, and he's going to come see you. So about 5 years after I went to work for him, Ron Michaels brought me up here, did a vitrectomy, and that eye is 20/20 today, 40 years later. And the other eye, not quite so good, but I still get a Florida driver's license, which might be dangerous for all of you. But they actually gave me another one. But because of Dr. Gills and because of Hopkins and because of all the things that happened, I'm going to be 75 years old this year, and I'm still working for him, and he's still a slave driver, and we enjoy every bit of it together. Thanks.
It's nice when you can work for a person and have fun, and it's really a creativity. Lou is really creative, and he gives a person like me that takes a little longer to get things done. And we do take longer, but it's always right and always considering the others before anything else. And others has been our motto forever. Thank you.
Well, Jim, Braddock, Lou, Heather, thank you all for joining us on this very special occasion today. This is one of these events, I think, that will have an impact on the future for decades and longer. So we're all very grateful to you for allowing us to have the Jim and Heather Gills Day at the Wilmer Institute today. And thank you for just this latest tremendous show of support for Wilmer. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a reception. I hope you'll be able to stay and congratulate our guests. Thank you very much.